It was a tight-knit community.
He terrorized the town for years.
There were 40 people who saw him shot dead, murdered.
No one saw it happen. They say, murdered in broad daylight.
This is Crime Addict, and I'm Oliver Parizek. Welcome to our podcast. Today we look at a murder in the heartland of Ken McElroy, in a town that wouldn't talk. Brought to you by Safe and Sound, the premier home security system. Skidmore, Missouri, a small, quiet town. People just living their lives, but there is a secret that the town keeps, that no one will talk about. Who killed Ken McElroy? Dan Estes is the local sheriff.
If we could have proved who done it, we would have prosecuted him. You could talk to everyone in this case and they give you a different answer. We couldn't get anyone to tell the truth.
Ken McElroy was a man who didn't read, who didn't graduate high school, and didn't even have a bank account. But he had a hold on Skidmore. One of fear. He had been indicted 21 times, but never convicted. He somehow managed to outwit every single charge for over 20 years. Joyce Monty lived in Skidmore.
He was a big man with cold eyes who always carried a gun. He would intimidate anyone who got in his way, particularly women.
Assault, child molestation, statutory rape, arson, the list goes on and on. He tried to kill a local grocer in Skidmore. It was Joyce's dad.
We were able to get a conviction on that one. However, he got released on bail after he appealed.
And he kept threatening the elderly grocer, sometimes with a rifle.
He would constantly harass us or threaten us with a bullet. He even stuck a shotgun right in my face.
When McElroy was released on bail, Joyce had this to say.
We went everywhere we could, but justice would stay delicately out of the way. Looking back, the justice system had as much to do with killing Ken McElroy as anyone in Skidmore did.
Harry McLean is an author. He researched life in Skidmore and McElroy.
Ken McElroy knew which people to pick on, the weak people, and he followed through on his threats just often enough to make people believe he was going to do what he said he was going to do. He had legendary status, and it all got to be bigger than he was. Somebody would hear his name, and the legend grew bigger.
McElroy would steal cows and shoot families' dogs to back up those threats. At this point, the town was fed up with McElroy and called a town meeting to take action.
He was as mean as he looked, but he wasn't just mean. He was very cunning.
After the break, Crime Addict continues.
He took out his gun and he shot him.
Shots ring out in Skidmore, but the town wouldn't talk.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. Should we go down and look?
I think you should go.
I went last time. You go.
Wait, you can check your phone.
Safe and Sound keeps everyone safe. Download the app and have access to every camera, microphone, and motion sensor in your home. You'll have worldwide access to lock and unlock your doors, listen for strange noises, and remotely activate your security alarm. And it's so easy to install, anyone can do it.
The app shows that everything is locked, and I can see that it was the cat, again.
Oh, that's a relief.
Sleep sound with Safe and Sound.
This is Crime Addict. One morning, the town had a meeting to set up a neighborhood watch program. Shortly after the morning meeting ended, townfolk saw Ken and Trina McElroy, his wife, at a local bar and walked over there. McElroy saw the large crowd moving toward him. Trina urged him to go.
As soon as me and Ken walked out the door, everyone else came out too. I asked them what they wanted and what they were looking at, but they were just staring.
Then shots rang out. Ken McElroy was hit twice, 2 bullets from 2 different caliber rifles.
I saw one guy raise a rifle and shoot. Cops know what I saw, but they wouldn't arrest nobody.
She just said what was her opinion. It's just her word against everybody else's, and everybody else isn't saying a thing.
More than 40 people saw the shooting, but nobody came forward to say they saw who did it. And no one called an ambulance.
If we could have proved who did it, we would have prosecuted him. But all I heard was, Sheriff, I didn't see who shot him. I can tell you they weren't sad he was dead.
You don't have a town full of people who were hiding a guilty conscience. A lot of them didn't even tell their wives and children. They just went stone silent.
Stone silent. No one was ever arrested. No one ever charged.
They killed him and nobody would say who did it. It was cold-blooded murder.
After all these years, people still talk about it. I think it's something that's going to define this town forever.
The justice system failed. That's what killed him.
It It was not the kind of justice we should have gotten, but we stood up and did the right thing.
Trina would move away from Skidmore, and she would sue the city for $6 million.
I only got $17,000. My lawyer said it was all I could get. Now I can't talk about it anymore.
People are much more civilized and know better these days. Things like that are never going to happen again.
On his tombstone are the words, brave, fearless, and compassionate. I have a feeling his neighbors would have described him somewhat differently.
The Bible says there should be an eye for an eye, but those who live by the sword die by the sword. Ken McElroy lived by the gun, and that's the same way he died.
We may never know what happened that day in Skidmore, in the town that wouldn't talk. I'm Oliver Parisic, and this is Crime Addict.